Hello. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite video game soundtracks. This one being SimCity for the Super Nintendo. Now, I actually haven't played this game. I ran into this soundtrack because I saw a little gameplay of this, and what really caught my attention immediately was the music, and I had to go and check out the soundtrack from that point. And then, well, that's when I found a real good soundtrack to listen to. So, although I haven't played this game, the soundtrack got me interested in the game, and now I looked into it and looked at the gameplay because I used to be really into SimCity 3000 for the PC. And I played a little bit of SimCity 4 after that, but my main city game was SimCity 3000. Very good game. Very good music as well. They had some nice jazz tracks in there. So this soundtrack is pretty different. You know, it's got that Nintendo flair to it. It makes sense. You know, Jerry Martin did a lot of the other soundtrack, the SimCity 3000 soundtrack. But this composer is the same composer who made the music for Super Mario Kart and Pilot Wings, which both of those also have amazing soundtracks. The only one of those I've played, though, is Super Mario Kart. I used to play a lot of that, and I really enjoyed the music there. But that composer is Soyo Oka, and yeah, let's look at this soundtrack she made. So what's playing right now is the title theme. Kind of sets the mood for the game. You can find the intro to this game on YouTube, and basically it's like this black fade in to a city, you know, and right when the bass kicks in at the beginning here, it starts moving and stuff, so you already get a hint for how the music interacts with the soundtrack there. It starts off real soft and light, and then that bottom comes in right when the city moves. So let's take it over to the village theme, and in this theme, the main melodic theme is established, okay, for the cities. So, here it is right here. Alright, so if you have that theme in mind when listening to the other tracks, like the city theme and the town theme, it's kind of like a bonus there, because you hear that little theme. It usually starts off the same, even though the key or something might be different, but you hear that melody and it links these themes together. So that way you can catch it when that melody comes in and it has variation on it, you know, and it's really cool. It's this whole idea of this soundtrack being kind of linked together, and it's a common thing in, you know, film scores and stuff. You know, the classic example would be the Darth Vader theme, right? Imperial March. Can I sing it? I don't think the video is gonna get muted or something if I sing a little bit. You know what it is. You know what Darth Vader is probably. But yeah, you hear that anytime something having to do with that comes up, and that's kind of how that thing works. or motive, or motif, or leitmotif. Different names for it. But we're talking about SimCity, not Star Wars. So you can also get a feel for how relaxing this soundtrack is. Overall, it's a very, very stress-free soundtrack. You know, there's a couple of songs in here that are high tempo, you know, or have a little bit higher energy. I think the most intense song in here is intense because it starts off with like a siren. But after that, most of the tracks are laid back on here. Let me see if I can find the one with that siren on there. See that? See that? It starts off really dire with the siren and like the descending, you know, harmony there, but when it actually comes in, the main intense thing about it is that it's fast and that it's in odd timing. The main intensity of that comes from the beginning, and after the beginning, it doesn't exactly sound that dire. It's just like rushing. It's like, oh, I've got to do something. But for being a disaster theme, that's what it is on the soundtrack. For being a disaster theme, it doesn't sound dark. This is basically the composer's intent here. There's an interview I ran into with the composer, and the interview itself is not about this game, but she gets asked a question about this game and, you know, her intent while making it. And she basically says here, at the time, I felt that SimCity was a very different type of game. I wanted to avoid giving players any stress as they diligently built up a city. I desired to have a consistent musical environment throughout without any feeling of an ending. So that's a quote from her from this interview that I'll go ahead and link in the description because it's a cool interview. You know, like I said, she also composed music for Mario Kart and Pilot Wings, but she went freelance soon after working for Nintendo. So, but you can definitely see that whole stress-free deal. And like I was saying with the themes earlier, that aids toward this consistent musical environment. So if you check out the other songs on here, you'll hear that they do share the same kind of serene vibe, and I really like that. One of my favorite things actually about this game is not only is it serene, because I like listening to a lot of peaceful music, you know, but I also like harmonically interesting music, and this composer makes really nice harmonic choices. So we heard the theme, right? We heard the village theme in here with the main melody theme. Right? So, a cool thing about the soundtrack is that the music grows alongside your city. So as the city, you know, population grows and the city gets busier, the music gets a bit busier too. So if we take it over to the town theme here, we can see, oh, quite refined, fancy. And you can hear that melody theme, that main melodic theme in there. But this time we have this real nice counter melody in there too. But yeah, this is real fancy. We can see that the theme has grown more complex for the stage of the city than the village theme. And a nice little bonus about this is that the intro to this, and there's a lot of Baroque influence in this soundtrack, but if you check out the intro to this and compare it with the intro to Bach's Fifth French Suite, like the first movement of it, you hear some similarity in there. Right? The trill is a little bit slower here, but you can definitely see that Baroque influence crossing over to the soundtrack, you know. That's the thing with a lot of Nintendo soundtracks, seem to be more directly influenced by the older music. It's not like Sega Genesis or something. I feel like Sega Genesis seems to be more on the modern side with their hit games. You know, like Sonic easily throws in funk or even genres of the same decade like New Jack Swing. But this soundtrack here is influenced by stuff like Baroque and, you know, song character pieces and that sort of deal from Romantic era. So they get more complex as they go on. You see we have more instruments going on. This is the city theme. More pronounced counter melody. And check out how like ever-changing the harmony is. Like it's still going. We're still going through these different phases here. Right, and that hold makes me think almost like we went from Bach to Beethoven or something. We're still going, and it's still like changing. So that's much more complex than the previous two. And we still have that thing, that two, it's like the cluster leap type deal. I think it's like B, C, G on the on like piano or whatever, that doo doo boo boo, right? It's like these close notes leap sort of deal. We have it going on here too. See? So these get more adventurous as they go on. This is the capital theme right here. Okay, we got this build going on here. We got the marimbas. Oh. What is this? Oh. Real nice, man. So we can see here that we're starting to reference back to that village theme, but with new harmony. Those almost sound like some jazz changes there. And I like those little, it's almost like a harp type instrument there. Really nice. Kind of reminds me of like John Williams type. John Williams' use of the harp in his lighter themes. You know, I was listening to the soundtrack and then I went and listened to like Fox the Phoenix, his theme from like Chamber of Secrets, and then the E.T. flying theme, just because this vibe reminded me of those tracks. The city is almost at the top here. You know, this is almost like viewing the stars. Like I can see the stars now from here. And then we go to the funkiest theme in the game here. Ooh. We got some horn hits in there now. Got this bass, almost sounds like a cross between like the Mario Kart bass and like the Mega Man X bass. See that cluster leap? Close, close, leap, step, step, leap, step, step, leap. So that's by far the hardest track on this whole thing, because the drums are the most intense here. You know, this is the big city right here, but that final theme would be the Megalopolis, which is kind of weird to say Megalopolis, but oh, we're back with that hustle and bustle. I like that 3/4, like playing with that 3/4 feel. Oh. Okay, little race, arpeggio race going down there. And see, the main theme is in here, it's just, it's faster. So it's not as noticeable as easily, but that step, step, leap deal is still going on. We get this beautiful transition right here. Tempo slows down, so we have this tempo fluctuation, these dramatic intros, and then there it is. Melody right there with this real nice reharmonization under it. But remember, it doesn't come to an end, so gotta take it back. Never ending, the feel of never ending. Right? So most of the other soundtrack consists of shorter loops, um, which I recommend if you like what you've heard here or you're kind of interested in checking out the soundtrack, to check out some of those shorter loops, especially the final track on the OST, the Good Night, See You Soon, along with the budget theme. Those are two I really enjoy as well. So yeah, that's SimCity SNES. Overall, the soundtrack is really, really relaxing. Okay, more on the older, like Baroque romantic side. There's a nice main theme. I do think the melodic theme is nice. And that step leap deal comes back, Yeah. I'd say if you like Mario Kart soundtrack and you like Pilot Wings, I would check this one out. There's like a trio of soundtracks. And Pilot Wings even, it's got this interesting track with like a voice sample or something on there. That's it's interesting. That's all I'll say. It's technology, man. Technology. But yeah, that's SimCity SNES. Thanks for watching. This video is basically me just rambling about the soundtrack, but hey, that'd be cool to do. Talk a little bit about soundtracks. I tried not to delve too much into like music theory, but that depends. I can include more music theory type things if that is, wanted, but I do want to stick more to the sound of it. I mean, there's already a great video game music theory channel out there. I'm not really trying to just do a music theory thing as covered. I think that's fine, But talking a bit about how the soundtrack works with the gameplay, how it interacts with the gameplay as you're going through the game, and the soundtrack itself. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.